Hi guys, Yacca here. So we only have a few cards left for Mage, which we'll be covering in this review. We did just a rather big one for Mage just before the big card dump, the big reveal came out. And so there's only a few, and I think you'll see that these actually support some of the things that we already talked about over the course of the first card evaluation where we went through the Mage cards. But I think with that, let's jump into the card reviews and see where we can go with Mage in this expansion. The first card we'll jump into is Nagas Sent or Nagas Sandwich. I really like it. This play on words. Each and every time anyone says this stream or anyone that evaluates the card Naga Sandwich, I'm just gets me every time. It's so fun. But the pun aside, in the name of the Naga Sandwich, that's gonna be a stable in Blizzard HQ canteen. I'm pretty sure of it. But other than that, is it a good card? Well, it doesn't really support the game plan that I talked about. And right now there are a few cards coming up which can actually benefit from this. So there's a few combo potentials that I'd like to run through with you guys. So setting your expensive costed spells to 5, that's really good. Mana cheating is a very good a good thing. That's one thing, but it's generally a good game plan in Hearthstone. Therefore, this seems like there's a potential for a good card. And it's not each and every card as it's been in the past with the Nagas, and that's kind of an interesting effect. I'm not saying this is going to be amazing and great, but Big Spell Mage has been a thing of the past. I know that you also had a where you conjured forth a minion that cost the same as the spell that you revealed from the deck and so on. And we don't have that more in the rotation. But a combo that I'd like to run through with you guys is, for instance, you're sitting with 2 Pyroblasts in your hand. As a finishing move, you drop your Nagas Sandwich, and then that's 20 points of damage out of these 2 cards that you're sitting with. And if the rest of the deck is just trying to keep you alive, doing some chip damage, maybe you can run a mid-range kind of deck with Mage. This might be a finisher. A mid-range deck is definitely capable of doing 10 points of damage over the course of the game, and generally there's not, other than in Mage, there's not the potential to counterspell. And if the only other counter for that deck could be the Warrior, if Warrior is still going to be good and will be generating a lot of armor, the upgraded hero powers will also be back just as through some of the cards. Then I don't think there's a place for it. But just doing this combo specifically, you get, other than that, you get your puzzle box of Yacca. You get that for 5 mana. You, instead of 10, you get your flame strikes for 5, your blizzards for 5. There are targets for Nagas Sandwich, and therefore I think it has some potential. And considering that you can do like a big swing towards the end, and with your 10 mana deal 20 points of damage, that's a lot in constructed. But it needs to be really good for it to earn the 3 stars that I give it here, and I think it's actually going to be good enough. But it needs a deck archetype right now which isn't really pushed, and it has anti-synergies with the low cost or with the secret secret mage that you might want to run, this is not where you want to run this Naga. So 3 stars in constructed. Going over to arena, I think it's going to be the same thing there. You're not going to have that many spells. You might have some where you get an effect out of this, but what you really want to be looking at is the stat line of the minion, and there's no drawback there. It's a 5 mana 5/5. That's a perfectly fine 5-drop. So if you need it on curve, you don't mind drafting it, but the battle cry is probably not going to take effect. You have to be cautious with it because you might sit with some low mana spells, and these will be debuffed, or the cost will increase at least to 5 mana. So you have to be a little bit careful about this. Usually you're not too concerned about it, because the initiative that the spell provides is sometimes makes up for any kind of mana loss, but it's not great to give you a mana, not discount, a mana setback on your cards that you have, and you don't want to be running out your spells before time. But generally an okay card in arena. So in arena I also give it 3 stars. It's going to be an alright card, the way I see it in both play modes. The next card we haven't evaluated yet is the Jun Sculptor. Jun Sculptor is a 3 mana 3/3, which has a passive effect that states each and every time you cast a spell, you add a random mage minion to your hand. Essentially, instead of doing the mana cyclone stuff where you drop you play a lot of spells, you drop your mana cyclone, then you refill your hand with random spells. Here it's the other way around, where you refill each and every time you play a spell, you get a random mage minion. So which is better? Generally, my impression from Hearthstone has been that the spells, especially mage spells, are generally better. There's been some periods of time where that has not been the case, but right now I don't see it in such a manner that we are in such a period that the spells that you have in Mage are really bad. Therefore, I actually think that the spells are a little bit more viable than the Jun Sculptor. Actually forces the minion part of it. So it's, yeah, class minions are sometimes rather powerful, but it's difficult to specifically to work this into some kind of game plan. I think it's going to be all right, but not something that will be a staple in any deck right now. It might be good later. Therefore, I only rated 2 stars in constructed right now. It doesn't seem to have enough support that it actually works there. On the other side, in arena, just generating cards is really good. Spells are a little bit rarer in arena, and therefore you can't consistently count on Jun Sculptor to be good. But it's just it passes the vanilla test of being a 3 mana 3/3. So in arena it's perfectly fine. Had it been a 3 mana 4/3 or 3/4, I would have rated it 4 stars definitely. Also because the effect sometimes will give you some kind of benefit. Half the time you'll be on the coin, and then you could say, well, I'll just sacrifice the coin in order to generate a card, where you could get a Caligus for the late game or whatever might be the case. I actually do think specifically Caligus is not going to be part of the first arena rotation at least. But there are class minions that you would want to generate, definitely. So Jun Sculptor is actually a quite good card in arena as opposed to constructed. So I rate Jun Sculptor 3 stars in arena, and you won't be sad about picking this. It's going to be quite alright. So the final card that we haven't reviewed yet for Mage in this expansion is called Ancient Mysteries. Too bad that I didn't actually get this in the previous one where I evaluate all the other Mage cards, because this one really supports that archetype with the Secret Mage. So it's a 2-mana spell which draws you a secret that's already in your deck, and that secret will then cost 0. So essentially you're paying 2 mana for a targeted effect. You know you'll get a secret. You can choose which secrets that you run in your deck, and then you get a 1 mana discount on that. Essentially you can play a secret on turn 2, although that you might want to keep the 0 cost secret for some of the other synergies with the Cloud Prince, the Arcane Flag Mage. These are powerful effects that you can play with other cards. Getting this discount is really key, even though you sacrifice a card spot. That's also important to consider. So essentially all that this card does is find you another card that you need in your deck. But I think it's going to be good enough that you cycle through your deck, that you target draw the stuff that you need for this to actually work. So I actually think this is going to be 4 stars in Constructed, because it will really support that way of playing Mage that we have talked extensively about. We still need to see the deck, exactly how that's going to work, but it seems like it's going to be a rather tempo-like way of playing, and it's going to be an interesting deck to see how that actually works. But Secret Mage has been a thing of the past, and with all the tools that it has or will be getting now with this expansion, I think this is something that I can safely rate 4 stars, that you will be running in this deck in order to make that specific archetype work. So with 4 stars in that play mode, looking forward to Arena. This is not going to be a good card. So you sacrifice a card spot, and you can only ever, if you ever draft Ancient Mysteries, you need to have a secret in the deck already, and that's just 1 secret. So if you draw the secret first, if you just have that 1 secret, that's kind of a 50-50. Not exactly, but close to a 50-50, that you will end up with a secret before the Ancient Mysteries. And if that's the case, then the Ancient Mysteries is not doing anything. It's a 2-mana card that draws you nothing. So it's a really bad card in Arena. I don't see any way that you would be able or should draft this. It's a constructed card, and that's where it fits. Don't ever pick it in Arena. I don't see a good fit for it there. It's going to be way too situational, so 1 star in the Arena. Alright guys, that covers Mage, and this is going to be a really interesting time for Mage. It seems like they have the potential to tempo it up if it's going to be as strong or stronger, a viable archetype for Mage as opposed to the Conjurer's Calling Mage. We'll need to see. But there are definitely some strong secret tools available for Mage at the moment, and it's something that will be tried out. It will be a refined deck over the course of the first few days when the expansion hits, but we'll keep a sharp eye out for the potential Secret Mage decks that might end up actually being a rather high tier deck. We'll need to see. It's going to be interesting to follow, definitely.